It usually takes a second or two to connect to the live, so I usually ask the audience to ask. So, hi Susan, I see you're here. Can you please let us know if you can hear us and see us okay, so we can have a conversation? I am here with a guest and a friend. So, yeah, it's let's talk about certain things, but I want to know if you can hear us and see us before, we start the conversation. Hopefully you can hear us and see us. Yeah, in the meantime, welcome Damaris
Thank
to
you.
my channel, Super Friday Say I Love You, and Gail, I love you too, but tell me if you can hear me, please. So, welcome Damaris. I am happy to, yeah, I see people are joining. Wesley, hi Wesley. I see people are joining. We have, yay, thank you, Super Friday. They can hear us. Thank you, Susan. Yep, they can hear us. Perfect. Now we can have the conversation we wanted to have. So, first, I want to address before I even welcome Damaris to our house. I heard some people calling their channel home, so I'm copying that. Um, Banker said before we even started the live stream, he wrote, refused or was forced to by the people. I think the latter. So what Banker is asking is the title. I wrote in the title, like, President said refuses to sign. But yeah, we're going to get into that. You are right. First, I want to clarify. He's been saying no up until like last night. Yesterday, he was calling the protesters criminals. So we all know where he was standing. If he wasn't forced, he wouldn't say he won't sign. So we know that already. But we'll talk about that later on. I just wanted to clarify that. If I need to change the title, maybe after the live stream, I'll change it. I don't want to mislead anyone. So yeah, that's what I meant by the title. I see a lot of people joining. Hi, Chibuze. Hi, Jay Edwards, um, Manmuti, Binyam, Ken, Matt Hotep. Oh my God, Matt Hotep. I read what you said. Susan is saying, hey, Queen Desta. Wesley said how many souls had to be taken, how many lives had to be lost. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, Wesley, but yes. Definitely, definitely. I'm here with Damaris, and by the way, Damaris is Kenyan, born and raised. She's part of the youth that we talk about, or we are gonna talk about. So I thought it was really important to have a conversation with Damaris about this because partly because she's Kenyan, and also she's a friend, and also I know where she stands when it comes to our people and the conversation we've had about just Africans in general. I know where she stands, so I also wanted to hear her thoughts. But this is definitely just going to be like a conversation between two sisters, but also I want you guys to participate respectfully. Okay, respectfully. And so yeah, that is why we're here today. And we just heard a few hours ago. The reason why I titled it that way is because just a few hours ago, the president made a statement and he said that, I concede and I will not be signing the bill. So that also we're going to talk about. But first, we have to start from the beginning before we reach to that point. So before we do that, though, I want to welcome Damaris. I keep calling her Damaris, but you see Queen Justa there. Maybe she can explain to us why she has two names. Welcome, Damaris. Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much.
accepting my invitation and coming.
Mm, mm. Thank you so much, Wongel. Thank you so much for this chance. I didn't even tell you this prior the live stream or when we had the discussion of doing this live stream that I'm not in my normal setup, not even at home. But I was like, you know what? We are going to have this discussion because we are the people bringing the revolution back home. And so, therefore, this conversation is for us to have, despite, unfortunately, all the fears that could come with this kind of conversations, like so many things happening. And you never know. Anyway, on the same note, I want to, before I say why I'm Queen Desta Maris at the same time, I want to congratulate you and thank you for the voice that you put out there to talk about these matters that affect us, and just being brave to speak about the things that we go through. Thanks. Thanks for being a voice for us.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, so my name, for those who are seeing me for the first time, my name is Dearis Jenga. That's my official name, but I go by the name Queen Desta, which is a name I fell in love with after staying in Ethiopia for a long time. Um, and it means the same. It has the same meaning. So I took up the name Desta. Blessed Queen was blessed by most of my viewers, and here we are, Queen Desta. And today we're talking about Kenya. Well,
Yes, we are.
so where do we start it?
No problem. I will let you know where we're started, but Queen Desta is an Amharic word from Ethiopia, and it means happiness. So
Mm-hmm.
just want to throw that out there as well. So as I said earlier, like I want us to start from the beginning. Let's say like someone does not know like what the protest is about. I know for a fact a lot of people heard about Kenya, and Kenya has been trending online and on even the mainstream media. They covered it like yeah, that was a thing. They couldn't ignore it, right? So it was talked about, and it was going viral for many
Mm-hmm.
reasons. But for those
Yeah.
that, let's say, did not keep up, right? Like they just want to get the highlights, right? We might not be able to cover everything, but like just the highlights of what has happened. I want to start from the beginning, right? So yeah, so the past couple of days there has been protest in Kenya, and the reason behind the protest is a financial bill that was proposed, the 2024 financial bill, and the parliament was getting ready to approve it. They approved it, I think, what is it, two levels, like the first one, the second one, and then now it was sent to the president.
The first one was starting on Tuesday. On Tuesday is when they did the first stage, and
Okay.
on Tuesday is when now the protest began. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
So basically, there was a protest. The protest was held because the people were saying this is too much taxing. There was overtaxing. The people are not saying we don't want no tax whatsoever. Like that's not the point. The point is people feel like this is an overtaxation, and some of the things maybe you can go in details for us, but like the shocking ones that made it to social media and people were just shocked to see is like taxing of cancer treatments and diapers and pads and bread. So, in a place where we're talking about Senegal, the new president just announcing that he'll be cutting prices, and he's a new president. A few months ago, right, is when he became a president.
Mhm.
He I talked about this on African Diaspora News Channel. He was saying that first, like people need to eat, right? So he was cutting the essential commodities like taxation of like bread and oil and the things that people need to survive on. So I was like, wow, yeah, that's respectable. I understand it's going to put a toll on you as the new government, because I'm pretty sure after he took that office, he's going to realize that a lot of money was embezzled, a lot of money was misplaced, a lot of, he has a lot of burden. But he said that people need to eat first. And then tomorrow we can be like, okay, let's plan. How do we make sure that we get more money as a country, and we can get ourselves out of the situation that we are in? So that's commendable. And we appreciated what he was doing, right? For such a young
Mhm.
leader to be prioritizing the people. So the people, from what I heard, felt like life is already hard. They're not able to, feed their family, and now the tax is even introduced. And the thing is, when they've shown the financial bill, there's so many bullet points there that's like, okay, we're giving 2 million for education, and they gave 600 million for the renovation of the
Of
vice
the,
president's house.
I
So
know it's so.
so I understand why people felt the way they felt, because it's like it's not even balanced the way it was put, right? So that's like basically like the background of the feeling of the Kenyan people. So before we move to the next point, I want you to talk about maybe like the overtaxation. what are your thoughts on it, and what are people saying about that, and why do they feel strongly about the new finance bill 2024?
First of all, some of these things are very triggering that you really want not to be upset, but when you think about it, it's just so crazy. So to begin with, one of the campaigning points of our current president was that he will not increase taxes on us. If anything, he'll try to reduce. And so that would mean the cost of living somehow will be better for Kenyans. Um, and for him now to bring a finance bill that has 2.7 billion extra on taxpayers is crazy. Is just so absurd. And if the breakdown of this additional money made sense, then we wouldn't be complaining. It's not like Kenyans have a problem with paying tax, but the question is, what is this tax doing for us? First of all, there's a whole need on accountability on already the tax that we are paying, but before we account on that, we are not going to accept more for us to pay more. So that brought up the whole concept of reject the finance bill. And some of the areas that were on the high that poked more people is, as you said, the cancer issues. Like cancer patients were gonna pay more. Well, they're already paying a lot of money. I don't know if you know this, but um, I've heard that the price of cancer and diabetes is 2 times the price compared to like the US. So if you expect a local Kenyan to be able to fund that amount of money, and for you to even increase it, that's it's well, I don't know. I'm lacking the right words to describe that. Yeah, it's more like, let's target those who are poor. How can we get more? How can we get them more poorer? To even instances of whether you're employed or not employed, but the fact that you're above 25, you have to start paying tax. So basically, unemployed citizens too were expected to start paying tax. Okay, the youths have decided to come up with other ways to make money. For example, content creation. Those are other areas that have greatly been targeted on being taxed. And let's not even talk about platforms like YouTube, where we are currently, that we're already being taxed in America. So that means we already have a tax currently in America and in Kenya, and then now you increase the tax for us. So basically, there's many areas that were affecting all of us. Uh, some videos were going around about the concept of renovating the the politician houses, but when you see the state of where students are studying, like their classrooms and their spaces, we need to renovate those schools before we think about renovating anything in the politician kind of lifestyle. And of course, there's more propaganda on, did we hire like people who had like a big number that they need to pay, like for example the first lady, why are we paying them, stuff like this. Anyway, ah that's where the whole concept of reject finance bill came in. And at this point, I'm even forgetting what we were talking about, lest I continue ranting. Yeah, so those are basically some of the main points. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning some of the overtaxation that has been introduced. But I want to clarify, I said this in the beginning of the video. Maybe I changed the titling because I'm seeing quite a few comments saying he did not refuse, he was forced to do that. I understand, and I think I'll change the title. I don't want there to be a misunderstanding. But yes, I agree with, the sentiment. We've talked about this for quite a bit, and it's sad to see. And wait, before I even say anything, I saw a comment I wanted to address while you were telling us about the taxation situation, and someone wrote, I couldn't find the comment now, but I'm pretty sure it's here. They said, Africans, I'm assuming, since he said or she said Africans, they're not African because they were addressing us as Africans. They said taxation is needed for your teachers, and that is exactly what actually Dearis was also saying. Like there were a lot of videos that went viral over this past few days of the condition of schools, hospitals, governmental institutions, and how they are kept, and how they need badly to be renovated, the teachers need to be paid. Of course, who's going to disagree on that? It's the priority of it all. I just mentioned they gave 2 million. They wanted to give 2 million for education versus 600 million for renovation of the vice president's house. So that
That does
is
not
what
need
we're talking
innovation.
about. Not necessarily we are Kenyans. I haven't heard a single Kenyan saying we don't want to be taxed.
No
I
one. We are
haven't
already
heard
being taxed.
that. They're
We are
already
happy
being
with
taxed.
tax. Yeah.
And they
So
haven't complained as far as I'm concerned thus far. Now is when it's like this is too much. When they saw what they will be taxed for. And I mean, in many cases, this tax unfortunately doesn't go to where it's intended to go to.
mm,
And people
yeah.
feel like, it's like life is already hard, but does it have to be harder now? Like, why? And plus, they see it as like, you promised us that, as Damaris mentioned, uh, there will be this and that. And then 2 years into down the line, like you are changing your tone as well and just taxing and taxing and taxing. Um, but that's what I wanted to say. But Damaris, maybe you can elaborate on, because this comment was made, what are your thoughts about tax going to teachers, so that in the meantime I can change the title. People are pressed
So
about that. Yeah,
when you say
don't
tax,
continue.
do you mean teachers should be taxed?
No, the tax paying this
Or to
important
teachers?
role models or people that are crucial to our country.
Well, I'm not sure about tax going to teachers because I feel like if the education system is put in a right system, for example, teachers being paid what they should be paid and their working environment is taken care of by the tax, I don't see why we should be taking the tax money necessarily to pay the teachers. But of course, if let's say they are the ones that are taking care of our kids, so they need to they are actually civil servants, which is interesting, as much as they have some limitations compared to other civil servants that work in the government. Yeah, so I'm of the opinion of make the education system more sustainable and more workable, and pay them right, then you will not need to give them the tax money. Yeah. And the thing with Kenyans is we really are happy to make our country grow, but we have to see it. And I can't say this enough that I'm happy to witness this discussion being discussed, this action, the protest, and people not shying away from this discussion of we are going to make our country work. Because Kenya is a really great country. But imagine what it would be if the systems were right, even for us who are living here. And I know in the course of this discussion, we have to mention about what the president has said that has really poked me when he talked about opportunities that is created for the youths. We'll get there, but and one of the opportunity being immigrating Kenyans to other countries, and that to me is just more like modern day kind of slavery. We'll get there, but for now, they should
Okay.
make the education system work, and then we'll be good.
Okay, good. That's a point I was not gonna talk about, but we can do it later on during this live, because it's
Oh,
it's it's a good point. It's a good uh, conversation to have. It's very important. So speaking and what makes this different? This protest to the point where it forced the president to change his tone, because yesterday, as I said earlier, I was watching his speech and he was calling the protesters criminals and he used some strong words, honestly speaking. And so I want to discuss why this is so important, because let me tell you something, Damaris. I was highly impressed with the youth of Kenya, especially the Gen Z. Gen Z, like we give them a tough time. I think, wait, are you a Gen Z? I'm a millennial. So so like I have
yeah.
my younger brother is a Gen Z, so it's like, we make fun of them and stuff. So, but to see the Gen Z not just mobilizing online, but also going out in the streets, risking their lives, making it known what they stand for, and the unity. Oh my goodness, I want to talk about this as well. Maybe let me not get ahead of myself first. Let me I want to structure my thoughts so we can cover most of the things that I want us to talk about. We'll get to that. But what was impressive about this protest, this demonstration, is that, and I've heard people saying this, I don't know how accurate it is, maybe you can clarify for me. This is the biggest in the world because of how many cities and towns went out to protest within Kenya. I believe 30 something, did I see 30 something cities? People were out
Yes,
in the street to
counties.
protest on the same day.
7 counties. 35 counties were out protesting. And
From
in
how
these
many counties do you
counties,
guys have? 40 something?
47.
That's
And
big.
also within counties, like for example, even Nairobi County, for example, there was different places that the protest was happening. Or Kiambu County, for example, there was Thika, there was Kikuyu, like there was still, and this is not part of the count. Basically, it's on the count number. For sure, it's crazy. If you see the drone shots, then you believe it.
Yeah, and don't forget, they were. I heard some of the politicians saying this was fake, like the protest was like almost like, what did they say? Like it was created like almost with a green screen, AI generated.
Yeah, that was on Tuesday. So the protest started on Tuesday last week, and
Yes.
that was when the protest was in the first stage. So the member of parliament, they were out voting whether yes or no, and so on the next meeting on Thursday is when they were saying, the things you were saying on Tuesday, all those things were photoshopped, stuff like this. Now, I have to call out member of parliaments for all the quote unquote stupid things they said. Just trying to be kind out here. But it's so crazy that I can even talk about this. I've never felt embarrassed, one girl. I've never felt embarrassed to associate myself with my member of parliament. Because if you heard of this member of parliament that talked about, we find pride in people that hand washed their napkins instead of using diapers. I was like, did we elect you? Like, were we sent when we elected you for you to come and say such kind of things? Did you hear that one?
No, when
And
we were speaking, I remembered that lady that said, when they said they're taxing pads, she said, doesn't matter. Like for me, it doesn't
oh,
make a
that's
difference.
another
I
crazy
use
one. The one who
tampons.
says I use tampons. Yeah, and have you seen the example of that? It's like saying, the cabbage is gonna have more tax than you're out here being like, yeah, but I eat broccoli. Anyway, so
Mm.
the MPs said some of the crazy things, and we get it. This is their chance to say yes or no, and even worse, they've been paid 2 million each to say yes or no, which was another
Is
crazy
that true? I
evidence.
heard about it, but is it confirmed? Like, do we know for sure?
Yeah, an MP was videotaped saying it. Yeah. So basically, it's just being evident on, even if you as an MP you haven't talked yet, I can see you and how you're corrupt and how you're taking our money and how anything that's coming, you don't care about the people, you only care about your greed and what you take home. Yeah. Anyway, so the thing is, I'm very happy with the youth and being able to come together. First of all, there's a few things that I feel like we also need to give credit as much as we're talking about the youth. Number one, we have to give credit to our parents. I'm a zillennial. Zillennial is like you border between a Gen Z and a millennial. Uh,
Oh, so am I that too?
yeah.
I don't know there was such thing. I'm a zillennial. Okay, I love that.
So
Okay.
uh, so the concept about the youth, there are some things that have happened. Number one, our parents were very keen on us being educated, so we also have to give them, like, you see, like we have 100% as the youth, but then now there's like things that helped us to be able to execute this. And number one, I have to say our parents have educated us. I feel like in this generation we are the most educated. Like the Gen Zs
Oh,
going to
okay.
school. In
Mhm.
terms of going to school, if you do like
Okay.
the average of who finished universities, who
Okay.
basically, and even if they didn't study in that way, they can take a book and break down information. They can take the law and understand what it is saying. So being able to understand that, because I saw a lot of now Gen Zs as well, because they're educated, they can break down whatever thing is being passed on. We can understand these things, like for example, the stages. We can understand what is in the financial bill that you do not agree with. So I feel like in the, let's say for example, Gen X, that's like our parents, they did not necessarily have as much education in that way. Yeah. Okay. The second part that made this very, very easy has to be social media. That
That's what I
means,
was gonna say.
yeah, that means I can pass information to you very easy. So as much as our elder people never wanted to share this context, it was not possible because the source of media was just the citizen TV, the TVs, like media that unfortunately in some countries are paid by the government. Basically, the media is the government, or they are, the government has more voice on what the media or the TV would say. Yeah, so that definitely is a big leverage that the youth had. And that made the whole thing successful. And I'm just so happy because even in the social media platform there could be the passing of two different media. Let's say for example, some people being paid to pass a certain information as other people are trying to pass another information, but seeing people rise up and being like, no, I'm standing with the truth today. Wongel, as someone in the content space, influencer space, understanding what a brand mean to me, or to even people, seeing influencers, creators, and celebrities saying no to a brand just because they were in support of what is not right for us as a people, I'm just like, salute, salute, salute. And I have this small sword. And can we also salute that there was no leader that we are looking into to be like, tell us what to do? It is more on what is the facts, what is right. That's what we are doing. Ah, I'm proud. Yeah.
I agree. I've noticed that as well. A lot of your influencers, Kenyan influencers, celebrities, were speaking out, were out in the streets, not just speaking on social media, but actually leading the protest and being part of that. And as you said, it's a risk they're taking. They have a brand that they built, right? And that's how they make money. Like that's how they survive. But they said it's fine. I will survive, but I will stand for the truth. I will stand with my people, and I'll stand for what is right. So I've noticed that, and I also saw some of them that was scared to speak out. They were being called out, but not everyone is brave. Not everyone is willing to risk it all. So you.
Yeah.
We forgive some of them because at the end of the day they are our people. They're not the ones hurting us, but still they have to take notes and understand that it's these people, the people that you didn't want to stand up for, that will feed you tomorrow. They're the same people, your audience, core demographic, that you're going to brands to talk to make money off of, because you're saying I have audience in Kenya that pay me this much. The same audience, you should care about them. Like those are the same people that are feeding you. So I hope they took notes, that it's not everything is about money. It shows your character. And if you
Can
don't
I add
stand for
something?
anything, you fall for anything.
Can I add something in terms of education? So I don't know if you know this, but in Kenyan education system, at least I think for all Gen Zs and millennials, they did 844 system.
Mm-hmm.
So in this education system, while you're in high school, it's compulsory to read books, literature books, story books that you're tested in your exams. And there is no one who, so we did, uh, in one of these books, there had to be one that's based politically. And what I did, for example, is a man of the people. So we read about
Chinua
people.
Achebe.
Yes, 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 yes,
I
yes.
love
So
that book.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this was compulsory. This was not, I'm feeling political, let me pick a book and read. So this whole concept have been sold to us even while we were in school. So we would even be made to know some phrases in some of these books. Okay, some of the content we grew up watching is Sarafina, which has really been a big part. You know Sarafina, the movie, right?
Yes, I've heard of
Yeah.
it. I haven't watched it. Is it
Oh,
South African?
tomorrow, please spare 2 hours. You will thank me. Anyway,
Okay.
we grew up. I have watched this
I think it's
movie
on
growing
Netflix. I'll look for
up.
it.
Yeah, it is on Netflix. I've grown
Okay.
up watching this movie like so many times. By that time, it was like a CD, DVD sort of things. Like I've watched it so many times. Also because when you were younger, you didn't have Netflix with 1 million
We
things to
used
watch. So you
VHS.
have 10 things. Those are the things you keep rewatching. So these
Yeah.
things we we've been empowered on what the people can do. So I'm just so happy to see the execution and this revolution happening now.
Yeah. I will watch the movie tomorrow. Okay, soon. I
Okay,
don't want to
you know,
commit to that, but I'll
well, I
watch
hope
and I'll
you
let
take
you know what I think about it.
time.
But you're right, spot on about education. And also like I remember seeing, I don't think I can say it here, but I remember seeing on TV one of the protesters was holding a placard. Is it placard?
Yeah,
That
that could.
said, we are not our ancestors. We will F you up. And I was like, oh my God, like the kids are ready. The kids are ready. But um, I don't want this to be a thing where we're like, it's just the youth. As you know, the protest, yes, was led mainly by the youth, and the youth were really mobilized. Like, as you said, they were dissecting. I watched so many TikTok videos of young kids, like teenagers, college students, come like showing their audience what the bill
Mm.
says and what it actually means and what it would mean to the people and to their parents. And I was highly impressed, highly impressed. As you said, that has to do with education. It's because our parents and grandparents sacrificed for us to go to school, so we're able to do this, even being tech savvy, right? It has its benefits. But one thing I will say about anyone that came before us, let's call them ancestors, is
Mm-hmm.
that one, they didn't have the technology. Most importantly, because if you want information, they had to go to the library. Most of them didn't have a TV, but even when they do, as you mentioned, the national television only talks about what the government wants them to talk about. They do not care about other narratives, right? And if you talk
And
about
it's
mainstream
edited.
media, I mean, there you have it. The mainstream media has its own agenda and its own agenda on its own. So they didn't have that one. So that this brave people had no way of communicating to the masses, right? So there was that. But also, what we have, what they didn't have, is the
Mm-hmm.
advantage of experience. We've seen what happened from, let's even say, colonization, like if we want to go far, right? And for example, that person that believed, I just watched a video, I don't remember who it is from, but the man was saying, like, it's the kindness of the people that got us to this point because, they invited the Europeans for dinner. And then the Europeans like, wow, okay, they must have money for them to invite me. They must have this and that. Them, they're just being nice. And they're like, oh, it's going to be easy to actually conquer these guys. So
Mm.
we have the added advantage of information. So much information is available now, so we have things to refer to. We know what happened to our ancestors, but they didn't, right? There's that as well. And then the second generation that came after them, they were so mentally enslaved because it's so hard for you now to believe that you can do this because you've been thought, like, systematically conditioned, and the lynching and the beating and all that will do something to you whether you like it or not. So now it's going to take time now to break that chain, and then now to actually stand up for what is right, because now we realize, wait a minute, we're all equal. Like, what we were
Mm.
taught in school is not true. What we were conditioned to believe is not true. So we have all that added advantage. If we didn't rise up now, then we are the biggest failures because we
Mm.
have all good things going for us in all aspects of life. Yes, we
Yeah.
might be in a position where we're in debt, we're suffering because of all the decision that was made before us, even things that we didn't have any say in or things do with, like nothing. We just are carrying this burden because of what happened before us. But we also have to realize what happened to us, learn from that, but also not fall into this victimhood. I want us to understand who the enemy is, what happened to us, why it's happening, but then what's the solution? How can we do better? In this case, the youth didn't sit and cry. The youth didn't sit and say, oh, well, power is in the government's hand. I mean, it's elected. We'll wait for another few years to make sure that this government goes away, and then we elect another leadership. They said, nope, I'm gonna take it up on myself to say no and be heard. So I think that's really important to note as well. So yeah, and you kind of like touched on it earlier, but I also want us to talk about how this protest was led by zero politician.
Yeah.
Zero politician, and they were not able to. There was a time where they were trying to insinuate that it was funded blah 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 by this people and that people, but the truth is loud. Like, yes, they say the truth, might be slow, but it comes out in the future. No, 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 this one you can't even deny it. There was no politician leading this. It is the actual people on the ground that said enough is enough. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm so happy to see smart people that are able to see through things. And I'm saying this because I don't know if you saw the paid people that came with placards that all look the same. You can see this is how during politician election, this is how these banners look like. But so we can see the difference between paid and not paid. But when you as a member of parliament don't know what to say, then you decide to throw in a sentence like, you know what, they are paid. But I really want to meet this person that paid all those youths that were standing. And, I'm keen to know about what's happening tomorrow because there's foreseen protest of 1 million people to walk to CBD. So tell me, who is paying 1 million people? Before this person pays 1 million people, remember, before you pay 1 million people, there's the convincing part. And okay, fine. So the 1 million people, before you pay them, you would have cleared our debt and we're good to go. Like, we'll be like, oh, you cleared the debt? Let's do the finance bill payment, something like this. But yeah, BS.
You call BS on that. But outside of this protest not being led by a politician, there's also that thing where I noticed there was no tribalism. There was no, I'm from this tribe. I'm from, like, if you've been following me for a while, you know how much I hate tribalism. Like,
Yeah.
like the worst thing ever, because we're doing it to ourselves, one another. At least racism, it's another kind trying to convince us that we're less than them. Another kind. But this one is us, hating on one another, unaliving one another. Like, so that part, if I talk about tribalism, I'll get too much. So, like, let's divert. But still, I thought it was extremely impressive, and it's something that I think we need to talk about, and it's something that I think we want to show all African countries and African people. Look at what you're able to achieve when you step away from tribalism, from I'm from this town, I'm from that. It was clear as day. I heard no one mentioning that. I was even like
Unity is
impressed
power.
to see there was protest where the president comes from. His own people said, "Nah, you're not about to drag us into this," and they protested as well. So it was highly impressive to see, and it's something I think we need to duplicate everywhere. It was never about that, and people united, like they had one voice, and it was clear: reject the finance bill.
I can't shake my head enough in agreement with what you're saying. And even to see the names of some of the people that died, unfortunately, and may their soul rest in peace, they are our heroes. But to see people from our president's tribe, I'm like, no, not even the any tribalism way, but just appreciating that we are all in this together and just agreeing. And if for once, first of all, Kenya has gone through uh, a big struggle or a big challenge when it came to tribalism. In 2007, we went through the whole effects of tribalism. So the last thing that a normal Kenyan would want is to experience that again. So even if there's, and what that means by 2007, that means the Gen Zs were born, and so they basically know what tribalism does to us, you know. And even those that were not born, they can still see the effect. The effects are still very, very fresh. So I salute Kenyans for getting rid of tribalism, as well as this comes with just even our nature, because we've learned to grow together. We've learned to support each other, be it on social media without caring people's tribe. We've grown in the same schools, studying the same, eating in the same halls, stuff like this. So definitely some of these systems have really helped to kill the whole idea of tribalism, but to see it being executed, and this is the moment that you can't raise anything to do with tribe, is a big highlight. We can't take any credit away from that. On the same note, because of understanding the concept of if you get rid of the unity, especially if something that was to come and take away the unity that currently is going on, then that would be a win for whoever would come up with that. They tried to bring in classism. I don't know if you saw that. The idea of,
Okay, tell me more.
pardon?
Tell me more. Like, what did they say?
So there was a member of parliament that said, parents, you're saying your youth are we don't want finance bill. Have you seen who are the people saying they don't want the finance bill? They arrive in this protest. Well, of course, it's paraphrased. They arrive in this protest with Ubers, and then they're using iPhones and eating KFC after. This is all classism and being like, where are you in terms of money? So that means they can afford the finance bill or not. And people just even making jokes out of it, making placards of, yeah, I'm about to go get my whatever, and then something like this. Yeah, but it didn't work. So I'm happy to say that it didn't work, and yeah, unity is power.
Awesome. I didn't even know about the classism part. By the way, I didn't hear about that. What are your thoughts on, obviously this taxation is because they want to pay back the IMF or whatever. So what are your thoughts on the IMF and the whole loan situation when it comes to this?
Okay. Well, there's a part I've had of the IMF expects 55%, let me say, response. But out of this finance bill, the president would now be paying 68%. So I'm like, even if we necessarily, it's more like you've been asked to clear your debt, and you have a place that you can play around. You don't have to make everyone go through the extreme so that we are kind of covering it. Of course, I have my own preservations about opinions, thoughts about the whole IMF story and the whole idea of us being funded by IMF. And of course, we have to talk about how we lose our voice in some things. For example, the Haiti story, the government now funding such kind of things. It's crazy when you see the economics and how this money is now affecting us as a country, and now we cannot lead ourselves, basically, because we now have other people telling us what to do. Yeah, so the IMF.
Yeah, well, I heard someone say the IMF doesn't put down fires. What is the IMF doesn't put out fire, they start it, something like that. Someone said something because you also mentioned Haiti. This is my subscriber, Platinum. Hi, how are you? Um, they said, don't wait for elections to say no. No, that's not the one I want to talk about. I wish those protesters gave the same energy to protest interfering in Haiti. I want to touch on that. because there's like a misconception or like a misunderstanding when it comes to the Haiti situation. The people of Kenya were against the Haiti deployment, at least the ones I've talked to, the ones I've seen on social media, even including the opposition leaders. They were outspoken. They did not want this deployment for many reasons, not just the reasons that you would think, but for many reasons, they did not want that to happen. So the government deciding to do this and taking money from the US to deploy those police officers to Haiti, it's not a representation of the average Kenyan man and woman.
Yeah.
So before you start to put the blame on the people, you have to really understand and realize they had no say. They actually spoke out against. Many people were speaking out against it, and I think it only hurts our pan-Africanism movement when we try to call out each other in this way when the people actually had no idea or were not out in the streets supporting the police deployment. That's not the case. But I can also ask Queen Desta as a Kenyan, how did you feel about the deployment of the police, the Kenyan police officers to Haiti?
It's a very sad story. I have Haiti is one of the countries that got independence in the initial days, and this should be a point for us to be like, okay, now that you've been gotten independence, we shouldn't be going through wars and stuff like this. We should be in support on how can we take them to a better place, something like this. So it's very sad when I think also about our Kenyans, and even to know how much they are being paid, $159 a month to go do that. I'm just like, it's not worth it. And it's even sad when you would see pictures of people of, sadly, the military in Kenya and all the forces in terms of the police and stuff. The head of state is the president. So basically, once the president has given an order, you have no choice. So even us basically almost have no choice because the president has said what needs to be done. And it's sad to see people saying bye to their people, to even know they might not come back, like they could be killed in the process. It's a sad story. I'm really sad for the people that went to Haiti, and I'm also sad for the Haiti people. You mentioned Pan-Africanism, and I cannot I'm dreaming of this ever happening, a similar unity that we've seen in Kenya happening in, let's even say, African countries. Let's not even stretch it extreme, but how much more can we do, or how much things can we put in place in just so many things that are going wrong? Yeah.
I agree. I agree with that, and I pray that this movement doesn't get hijacked. Because I've seen unity even in Ethiopia. You remember with the hashtag No More movement,
Mm-hmm.
and sadly, some of it was hijacked, and there's a lot going on. You know a lot about Ethiopia as well because you've lived there. So I pray that Kenyans keep that unity because it takes very little from the people that want to break that up. Very little to take that out. But if you're focused on your mission, then they can't. If you know the why, if you know for sure why you're doing this, they can't.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, there are people that get distracted easily, and they're among us. So yeah, and I hope that continues. There was something I wanted to say, but I feel like it has disappeared. I think it's about Haiti when you mentioned something about Haiti and Haitians and the police. Yeah, if it comes to me, I'll mention it. But yeah, as Damaris said, that's something that the people were against. Yes, I remember what I wanted to say. It's not just the people. The courts in Kenya, High Court, denied this. They said this is unlawful and it should not happen. Even after the High Court said no to the deployment, the government still went ahead and sent them. So we cannot blame Kenyans, in my opinion. We cannot blame
Yeah.
Kenyans for what happened in Haiti. Yeah. So now to the main thing that we came here to discuss. Well, it's not the main thing, but it just happened, so we want to cover it. The title is, William Ruto, President of Kenya, said no to signing the bill. And as I said earlier, he didn't say no to it because, it's the nicest thing to do. He said he'll change his mind because, the people are pressuring him. And it's clear because just a few days ago, he was calling those protesters names. Yesterday, he was calling them criminals. But today, he said, I concede. Actually, that's a quote from him. I concede and I will not be signing. And I heard you. So you're shaking your head violently. What are your thoughts about this new development that happened just a few hours ago?
Ah, first of all, how many people did we need to lose for them to lose their lives for
Hmm.
you to come and say this statement?
Yeah.
People didn't need to die. This was the most peaceful protest that Kenya has ever experienced. And for days, so people didn't need to die for you to even say here or finally speak something about it. And on the day that people have gone out there, spoken their truths and what they want, you come around and you call us criminals. Wow. Like I was like, I don't know. I don't even know what to say at this point. Unfortunately, it came to a point of feeling like, you know what? You guys don't have a president no more. This is just basically it. Without even the recognition of people dying, people being hurt, or even everybody being on the streets. And even those who are not in the streets, not like they are going on with their lives. Things have stopped, things have paused. Well, he came back today and said he has stopped it won't go on. But the reason I'm even shaking my head is that that is actually not to mean that the reject finance bill has been passed. Like what we are asking for has been accepted. And now that's where I do have a problem with him. And even how he responded to some of these questions, I was just like, what? You didn't answer in a way that we can make you accountable. You didn't answer in a way where you see like how we are quoting, this is 600 million that is supposed to go here. We have now nothing that we can be like, okay, this is what we are saying. Even on his statement about the people that lost life, it was, we'll make sure their life is accounted for. What does that even mean? You know? Yeah. So, well, I all we want is reject finance bill.
Hmm.
And even better because it's not like we don't have a finance bill in place already. We are just rejecting this one. And now I'm in a place that I want to understand more about what is the way moving forward. Because from what I'm hearing currently is by him not signing or saying yes is not a guarantee that it means reject finance bill. It could mean if you don't sign after a certain period of time, the bill is passed. It becomes a law. Or it could mean it's taken back to the parliament and the parliament people could amend it or still say yes and it still passes. So we are still revolving around the same circle. I don't know if you've even heard what the deputy president said. He said there was no enough information for us. It was not communicated to us to know that you guys do not want the reject finance bill. Who doesn't know this? Like, this information has been everywhere. He's even making the matter worse by saying we have a whole organization that is paid, or let's say call it a system, that should give us information on what the people want. So they didn't tell you this is that we don't want this. It's, yeah. We can't, unfortunately, we're in a place we can't trust our leaders. We can't even say we do have leaders. I listened to the speech by the president. Literally, I wanted to cry.
I feel you. I feel you. But the good thing that came out of this whole situation, in my opinion, is the the craving to learn more about who's governing you, how they're governing you, what exactly are they putting in place that is going to impact you, not only you, but the kids, your kids, and the next generation to come. Like you just said, that you're more interested now to learn more, and you want to know what's really going to happen, how will it affect me. Unfortunately, or fortunately, before that was not there for many people because we're caught up like in our lives. Like there's so much going on, right? You go to work, you raise your people, you have a family, you're doing all that stuff. But then once this happens, it makes you realize this is bigger than you. You have to stand up for something. And if you don't, then you are indirectly contributing to what's going to happen to the next generation. And I love that. At least this came out of a horrible situation. But yeah, I feel so sad and sorry for those that lost their lives and their families. Like, we're sitting here, we're talking, but there are parents now mourning their kids. Like, kids were unalived during a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
Kids were unalived, and that's the sad part of the whole situation. And they basically gave their lives for this cause, and it's just very, very sad to even like talk about the details. I've seen some gruesome pictures from the protest, and even the police. It was sad to see. Like, the police are Kenyan. I understand they've been given orders or whatever, but they're still our brothers and sisters. The way they were able to unalive the protesters like that is just disheartening. Disheartening, to say the least. But I also want you maybe to tell us what happened in, and correct me if I said it wrong, Gidurai.
Yeah, that's a sad story. I also wanted to talk about it. The audacity of the internet. Like, how does, on all days of our existence, there's no network? Like this, the first time this happened in my life, I was in Ethiopia, and the whole this shutdown of internet, and I would proudly be like, this has never happened in my country. I've never even heard of it. But for it to happen, and even worse, see, in Ethiopia it was happening for information not to go out there. Here it was happening for a whole massacre to happen, like for shootings to go on, for people to be killed, and the numbers are just insane. And our president has the audacity to say that only 6 people were shot dead. Well, the numbers are in the 3 digits. I don't know. This is a place that I get to in terms of politics, that you just feel a little bit helpless on. I want to have a better solution, but of course, our little contribution, which entails even us talking about it, I guess it goes a long way. Yeah, but basically in Githurai, there were shootings. People died, people were injured, children, women. Sad to see Mama Mboga, I don't know how to say, or like people who tend and sell vegetables on the streets. Some of these people were killed, which is sad to hear, and even to see like photos and stuff like this. Yeah. Anyway,
Condolences, and may they rest in peace, and may their death not be in vain, and actually they get to see the change that they advocated for. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's very sad. Like, for those of us that saw the pictures and the videos, it's just disheartening. It's just disheartening. Yeah, but I want to end this in a better note than that. I
I
don't
know.
want to leave our
Yeah,
audience with this
I can say.
sadness. I want us to focus on the positive, and the positive is the fact that Kenyans are united. The youth are saying no to, basically being led into more debt, a hard life, and not being valued. And the youth is extremely important to like our future. They're our next leaders. So we love to see that. We love the unity. We love that this demonstration was not led by any politician. It's just the people speaking up and speaking out. And it's definitely a movement, and I have witnessed it, and I'm just in awe of all the things that have happened in the past few days.
In terms of unity, we can't fail to talk about the unity that we've seen even in support to those that have been injured, to those that have even lost their loved ones. As of a few hours before this live stream, I was sure 14 million Kenya shillings has been raised by Kenyans in support of those in hospitals, in support of the families that have lost their loved ones. And today, uh, the main hospital in Nairobi was full of people donating blood and just offering support in whatever way that they can. And I love to see the unity. I'm happy. I'm happy despite as well as the mourning that's going on. And I'm sure with the same spirit, we are still going to walk on the same journey, even with those that lost their loved ones. We are going to mourn with them. We are going to support them in whatever way we are able to. And yeah, salute. And if you're there and you're able to join in the movement, you're not limited. Welcome.
I love it. We stand with our Kenyan brothers and sisters, and we see you, and we love you, and we support you, and we hope that you get what you deserve, what is right, what is just, and everything falls into place, and the people get what they have been asking for and what they are fighting for. So that's what I want to say. But Damaris, feel free to say anything that you would want to before this stream ends. But I want to say thank you so much for coming through and having this conversation with us, because it's really important to hear the people on the ground, the people that are living it, and the people that it concerns. And the narrative should be about that, in my opinion. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Before I end, there's one part of the president's statement that poked me a lot, and it has to be what opportunities has he created for the
Oh yeah,
Kenyans.
I forgot about that.
Yes, because I'm too poked on this one. I'm feeling
Feel free, my dear.
So the president said that he has talked to other countries so that we can export labor. So basically, the good doctors can be taken to other countries and treat other people. Like the good teachers can go to other countries. It sounds really good. But how about we are the experts? You come to us and we give you this treatment. And the saddest part was him continuing to put countries, even like Saudi Arabia, and being so proud that we've created those opportunities. And as he talked, I could not stop thinking about all the women that have gone to these countries and suffered. We've had them come with their stories. We've had them talking about all the big challenges that they are facing. And I can't stop dreaming of a day that we will be very excited and looking at Kenya as we are coming to Kenya to work. We are coming to Kenya to do this thing. We have an opportunity to do this thing here in Kenya, that we are looking inwardly to be like, I, as a president, I have created such an amazing environment for people to live within their country, not, hey guys, pack and go, such kind of system. Yeah, so that really got me so sad, because I guess the people that serve them the information about what the people are saying is they are really doing a bad job. Yeah, they need to do
There's a
better in terms
disconnect.
of, yeah, they are suffering. Your people are not enjoying over there. Like, listen to many immigrants and you hear them talking about if they really want to come back home, but our system is not placed in a way that they can come back, or like things are not working in a way to accommodate their return. But so I'm just gonna speak it out here and say I'm dreaming of that good day that will be advocating for return to Kenya, or don't go, stay here. Yeah.
Exactly. And as our government, your priority should be building a conducive environment, an environment where you build industries, have grown areas where people feel like, oh my God, if I work hard, I'll be rewarded. I want to stay in my country. I want to build my wealth here. You can only do that when you facilitate the conditions. And if the system is not there, of course, the people want to migrate and the people want to find other areas. And you can't tell us that we don't have Africans in general. We don't have skilled people. We don't have smart people. We don't have driven people, because everywhere in the world that we go to, we thrive. We are succeeding. So if we're doing that in other areas, other places, other continents, there's no reason why we couldn't in in our own countries. The only reason why that's not happening is because there's no system put in place. There's nothing that rewards us for working hard. If anything, they want to take and take and take. They want to make it so hard for you to live there. You're like, I give up. Let me see other alternative, other options that the world has to offer. So we know our people are more than capable. It's just that it has not been, you know, prioritized for us to be here, and it's just very sad. And the opportunities that could have been created for us, they would have fixed so many of these problems that we're talking about,
Mm.
right? And I really hope and pray that the youth, regardless of everything that is standing against us. Oops, did I lose Damaris? Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah.
That's so. There's nothing that can stand between us and the success. I think we lost it again. The success um, that we want to achieve, that we want to reach. So I believe, as we touched on it earlier, technology has really, really helped us to see what the world has to offer, see how we can also, thrive in that environment. Unfortunately, even with technology and social media, we're still not being not being we're not given opportunities as much as our counterparts that are living in different continents. TikTok till this day, they don't pay African creators, and African creators make good content, make educative content, entertain people and all that. But you see, when you see that gap, now it's also up to us. Unfortunately, it's up to us. It would have been like nice to receive something from the people that came before us. But if that didn't happen, then let's do it. Let's make it happen. Let's use
Mm.
our minds to create, to make things bigger for ourselves, and the rest will fall into place. So I don't want us to feel like the just because the world is not there to serve us or to help us or to facilitate things for us, our own people are turning against us, leaders are letting us down. I don't want us to think that we're hopeless or helpless. That's not the case. If anything, Kenya just showed that if you come together and if you use your voice as one, you are powerful to the point where you are, forcing the people in leadership to think twice about the decisions that they're making. So, yeah, I don't want our people to think that we're helpless. No, we are not. What is happening is sad, but we are going to be optimistic. We're going to work hard. We're going to change the narrative so that our kids will grow up and say, I am so proud to be Kenyan. I am so proud to be Ethiopian. I am so proud to be Nigerian. I am so proud to be Sudanese. Like, we want to build that for them. And we do what we can in our own little small way. And that's all we can do right now. But also, let's not forget, there's power and strength in unity. And someone said one love. Yes, one love. So yeah, Damaris, thank you so, so, so much for
You're
coming,
welcome.
making the time to have this conversation with me, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much. That's what I
Oh,
have to
thank,
say.
thank you too. This whole story is not a sad story actually. The only sad part about this story is a victory story, but the only sad part is those that we've lost. Yeah, so unfortunately, and also people being abducted and stuff like this. But this is a story of victory, and sadly, some had to be lost in the process. Yeah,
Yeah,
anyway,
I
let's
love
keep
that. It's a
fighting.
story of victory. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for this chance to air my opinion and thoughts about this matter. I appreciate.
You are very welcome, and it's my pleasure. So, fam, thank you for all of you that joined us to have this conversation, for all of you that wrote your comment, asked questions, pointed out certain things, including the title, which I'll change shortly. So, thank you so, so much for being here and having this conversation and actually caring about what's happening in Kenya. So, yeah, thank you. With that, stay blessed. Have a beautiful morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. For me and Damara, it's nighttime. We're about to go to bed, but you enjoy the rest of your day. So, that being said,
Bye.
I'm going to end the live stream. Bye.
Okay. Mm.
Is it off?